Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chatting with Charles. It is another Sunday, and means it is time to talk with our buddy Terry3G's. Terry, how are you doing this morning, bud?
Pretty good. Well, actually, I guess really happy demeanor for a change lately, which is very nice.
Yeah,
And again, yourself, Charles.
I am doing well. It is time. We've got a pretty good house going so far. We got 16 that are in with us already, and I'm sure more will join us. But let's go ahead and say hello to folks. I know that Herb of Fireside Studios had wanted to be here, but he is doing the grandpa thing and watching the grandkids play some basketball this morning, which family first always, my friend.
Yep.
Our music in law, Ryan Hall, is here, and he was followed in by Michael Kraus, who enjoyed the Guitar Safari Off the Rails show. He had to watch it on replay, so it was at least 20% funnier. Yeah, see, my buddy Ferd Burfel from Northeast Texas is here, and Martian Murray, Octopus Ears, and Big Wave Dave is here. Keith H is in the house. And let's see, some guy named Terry3G's. You know him?
I don't know, some guy who probably can't afford 5Gs.
Some guy can't afford 5Gs for sure, for sure. And Rob Blackmore, official, welcome in, Rob. Happy Sunday morning to you. And of course, uh, Zach Thong is in the house. Hello there, Zach.
Zach.
And Zach is saying rip to Doc Danger. So
I'm not sure who that is.
we're losing too many. We're losing too many for sure. And Ben Coombs is here saying hello to both of us. Hello.
Hey, Ben.
Let's see. Wayne McConnell is here with us. Good morning, Wayne. And Jimmy Bider has made his way in. Yes, Ferd. We know for you it's only 18.3% funnier on the replay. You can't just keep saying that. You're going to tell me what I need to get the other almost 2% there. It's not fair. Provide a solution. All right, let's see. Rico B is here from sunny Maui this morning. That's followed
Where
in by
Nikki
John
Tedesco is.
Deshane. Yeah, I know. It must be nice to be in Maui, right?
Well, other than the big, thing that happened over in Hawaii a couple
Yeah,
months back. But otherwise, yeah.
very true, very true. John Deshane, good morning to you, and good morning, Blue Mox. Good morning, Blackjack Guitar and Hobo Roadie. Let's see. Bo, Guitar Man 45 is here with us. And Cam is here. Welcome in. Ask Terry about gooning. Oh, you want to go there now?
I have no idea what it is, so
All right. It sounded like it might have been an inside joke between the two of you.
yeah, no clue.
All right, then. All right. Well, Terry, so welcome in, everybody. We're glad you're here with us. We are now up to 27, and we're fixing to have a really good show. Terry, there is a customary question on Chatting with Charles, and it always starts this way because one of the things that I always wanted to do was see how everyone else started their guitar journey. So, how did you get started in this big mess?
Oh, many moons ago, as a young Canadian child growing up in a very smaller kind of vacational area of northwestern Ontario, Canada.
All right, then.
As I said, my getting out and doing the art thing has been kind of making me a little bit more kind of playful and a little bit more different in my personality, a jokester like, I guess. But yeah, I mean, when I grew up, most of my family listened to a lot of country. Most of my relatives were, old school country people. And my mom, she kind of was like, she kind of listened to some of the newer stuff, but in my age group growing up in the 70s, you know, you definitely were around the um, definitely around the disco influence.
Uh
So that was very much kind of you know, a starting point of things. But beyond that, again, I would say my first records were like some kind of disco record that my mom had laying around. But also, I had my cousins give me a Kiss album.
oh.
So I believe the album I had at first was Hotter Than Hell. So that was kind of a listening thing, but um, the biggest thing of all was the fact that I started to hear other musical influences, and probably the one biggest one that affected me the most was one day hearing Hendrix. And that really put me into the journey of, uh, you know, wanting to play guitar and kind of
Hmm.
replicate that sound. So, I mean, I had various interests. My mom being a low income earner, I um, pretty much went to. I wanted to play guitar, but I didn't have any money. My mom didn't have any money, so my first instrument that kind of got me on track of things was she managed to get at a local yard sale an old Stella acoustic. So it was like, um, so the cool thing about it was like, well, here's an acoustic. There was only one big problem though in helping me to learn chords and everything else. The action was about yay high.
Oh, so you started as a slide player.
So yeah, luckily enough, I'd bought a slide, uh, and so like I was basically doing slide, and
I took care
so
of that.
okay, thanks. Um, yeah, I shared it out, so I wasn't going to be surprised if there was going to be maybe some super fans drop in. So anyway, so yeah, I started out on like a really bad instrument, and eventually it wasn't, a good. It wasn't a super great way to start learning how to play guitar, but also at the same time, it was a start. And eventually, I worked a lot of summers, and eventually I worked one whole summer at a local resort as a bellhop. I saved all that money, and I was able to manage to get myself my very first purchased instrument, which was again a slightly used, which I understand correctly now was probably a 62 reissue Fender Stratocaster made in Japan in Olympic white.
That is not a first. That is not a bad first purchase out the gate.
No, and at the time, as I've told the story, I had two options. Of two guitars I wanted to get. One was said guitar, which was gonna run me about 750 Canadian at the time, which was about 85 ish.
Hmm.
And my other option would have been a Les Paul Standard in a nice cherry burst, which unfortunately was $1,099. So when you only have about $80 to play with, it's, well, I mean, seven something for the Strat, and I only
Hmm.
had about 820 saved. It's like, yeah, finding the extra money to get the Les Paul would been was hard. Mind you, though, now looking back at how instruments have matured in value, um, yeah, and now how as instruments have matured in value, as I said the last time I looked at the resale value of that Stratocaster I would have had, it probably would have been worth about 36 to 3,900 Canadian. But if I had managed to actually have the Les Paul and keep
Hmm.
it, I would imagine that would be anywhere between 5 to 10,000.
Just want to say to Zach Thong, I'm loving the new logo. I love the new avatar there.
Yeah, that's an awesome new logo,
Yeah.
Zach.
Hello there, Cushman NYC. So we start with we start with the strat, and so you've kind of been at this for a while. You've been playing guitar for a while. So when you pick it up, how did you go about learning guitar? What was your method?
Initially, I tried some Mel Bay books. Um, I ended up buying, the guitar mags like Guitar World and that, and so like I started to kind of do that as well too, and maybe a little bit by ear. But I mean, another thing too, like I say to anyone that starts trying to play guitar nowadays, and I relate to a lot of other things in life, like trying to do art or whatever things.
Hmm.
You have to find out what is the best medium or format it is that you can understand to be able to translate it into what you want to do. So in that case, I really never understood. Um, I never understood tablature right. I couldn't read regular sheet music.
Hmm.
I could understand looking at, say, like a Mel Bay book and looking at the chords and
Right.
seeing where the spacing is. So that aspect of it, of like being able to put the chord together and strumming it, but in the way of knowing how many times to strum it, or how to properly put your fingers harder to make the chord form, which is always an issue because in a lot of instances, if you don't have straight fingers, like
Hmm.
my fingers curl a lot from the years that I was typing, whatnot. So things like that definitely factor into your ability to play guitar. Same thing as having thick, short fingers and so forth. So it can be definitely a lot of frustration. And early on, when you're able to hit things like hit like a chord right, or you know maybe play a note or play a sound that sounds like something that someone else does, it helps you with encouragement to keep going. And I know with my one friend who lives a little bit away from me, I know he's just been on his guitar journey for like the last couple years, and it's awesome to hear him when I go for coffee with him, telling me about like oh my god, I was able to actually do this thing that I learned on Musician, except I did it without even having Musician on. And it's like, awesome. It's awesome to know you have the ability to like play a chord, or, you know, play part of a song even compared to the whole song.
Hmm.
It's all, it's all important. And I mean, to me, that's kind of what I think, people getting into an instrument or getting into something should be looking for is the smaller reward slash results than say like as I said in the one stream, I said these people that come on and they're like like okay, I'm gonna play guitar and I'm gonna play like Eddie Van Halen right away. No, I'm sorry, this isn't like instant popcorn.
No,
It don't happen that way.
no, and I get the biggest thrill when I try something new and it actually sounds like what it's supposed to sound like to some degree. Like,
Exactly as what John said in the chat here. It's a journey.
yeah, it really
It
is.
it really is. Same thing as like I said with any type of artistic interests you have, whether it be musical, actual like drawing, painting, and so forth. It's all a journey of a learning experience, and some people are lucky enough that they do happen to learn it all, and other people you know sometimes never can pick it up. But usually there's with a lot of things, it's just like I was saying as well too. Um, you might have the ideals that you want to be or become the next Eddie Van Halen,
Hmm.
but little might you know or understand until after some playing around and learning and stuff that actually maybe you are more of a better blues player than you are a metal player. So
Right, what
then
do you
you
have a
kind of,
natural affinity for?
yeah. So then in that instance, you start kind of changing your mindset and ways and realize, well, I wanted to play like Eddie Van Halen, but now I'm realizing that actually I play better more as BB King.
There you go. Well, you find what works for you, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Martin, by the way. Well, one of the things that I found your channel early on after watching after I began watching Ben, because you're always there in the chat and helping out, and you were on quite a bit on the show, and I always thought I was good at the deal,
Hmm.
but Terry3G's is in a constant state of trade, it seems. So, tell me about that a little bit. How often are you actively looking for something? Um,
um, I'll answer that in a second. I just want to answer what this Dove Kalik person asked, which was do your disabilities make it harder for you to learn new instruments, or have you overcome those hurdles of time? To further get on along with that point, yes, that actually is something. I have made it publicly known that I didn't find out until I was 32 that I was ADD inattentive
mhm.
type. So that was also another big hurdle for me right up until 22 was I had learned stuff and I got so far with it, but then I hit a hurdle or a wall where I couldn't get past it, and it was ultimately because of the inattentive type, because I was getting bored with it quickly. So I left, I sold off said guitar, which again, like I said, it needed work, but if I would have kept it around, it would have been a worthy investment. Beyond that, though, um, it wasn't until, like I said, pretty much when I rejoined YouTube
Mhm.
that I started slowly getting the desire to get back into playing an instrument. And in that case, it was I had a Nintendo Wii and I had a Rockstar Hero or something like that, or Guitar Hero. So here I am with the little thing, and I'm going click, 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 and I'm finding that I'm hitting on the buttons, and I'd be wanting to accentuate the note, but of
Mhm.
course you can't do that because you're only clicking and holding down a button. So you couldn't do that. So that eventually led me into wanting to get into guitar again. And that was also after finally discovering that I had moderate level ADD and attentive type. And I also have some low level depression and anxiety going on. So some of those things definitely went into a factor. But eventually, as I said, this was probably about 2008 ish that desire to want to play again. And I'd picked
Hmm.
up a friend's guitar here and there in that time frame. And it kind of made me want to play a little bit then, but not as much as playing the Guitar Heroes game. So it was around then that um, I had went on to YouTube. I found a used Robson Strat and I think a Dean Merkley little 10-watt amp, and that was when my journey got back going. Um, and eventually,
I think I had
I
that same amp.
a
I
little
think I
Dean
had that same
Merkley.
amp at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those like amps that definitely crept around
Hmm. For
from
sure.
time to time, and but it was basically from there. And I would say that, if we want to elaborate on that a little bit more further, that seeing people like the Tone King, maybe more so Steve from Boston, Shane from In the Blues, finding these people on YouTube and some others out there that actually, influenced the wanting to play again as well. And furthermore, there's some other people out there, um, some other people out there as well too that were. I'm trying to think now who else would have been a learner or a person. Marty Schwartz.
Hmm.
There's a guy from the Toronto area named Bobby Crispy who also did some like lessons, and those are definitely some other people as well that I ended up finding out on YouTube that visually I was able to understand how to play guitar better than better than some like better than before.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of challenges in learning to play, and overcoming them are great. And in especially going back and doing it older too, right? It's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, there's not only do you have those other things, but you have that the time commitment, right? The amount of time that you have, and all those things that go with it.
Yeah, I would say that as well too. Is that most people with a busy life have it's definitely hard to learn something like guitar or bass or some other type of instrument. And so, I mean, having the free time is awesome, but also at the same time, you also have to have the desire or the influence and a
Hmm.
lot of other things to make you want to do it, and that sometimes can be a bad thing because I know I've had some people say that to me over the years. You got all this time, you should be able to play like an Eddie Van Halen. It's like, yeah, if I had the desire to practice up to 9 hours a day, but I don't.
I
Like,
and I don't have that kind of that kind of patience either. It's like to sit there all that time. I can't do it. I've got too many other things going on, and so you take what you can get with the time you have, I guess.
yeah, yeah, and that's pretty much it. So, getting back to what you had asked me there a little bit ago
Yeah, about the trades.
about trades and trading, this again stemmed from like way back in the day how I've been able to evolve from basically back in the early 2000s and an AMD Duron 1 gigahertz computer system, which was my first build that I built myself out of parts. But I figured out when you don't have a big income or whatnot, you try to deal what you have on hand to step up to better or step up to something different. So that's basically how I've gone about things. And sometimes I would say it's basically you can be like some people there that they will sit there at their computer and they're like, oh, that looks like it's for available, or oh, I see that, is this available? And it's like, I've had times like that, but for the most part I for the most part I sit back and wait on deals or wait for something that might pop up that might be something of interest or something that I might be able to do. Like same thing when I did the deal for the JHS Ice T2 for the Jazzmaster. I was still
Mm-hmm.
paying off. It was like I didn't necessarily want or need the pedal, but also at the same time, it was the fact that it was a $350 boutique pedal that I was able to get.
Right.
And I knew that I could get that amount for said pedal versus if I tried to get rid of the Jazzmaster, I'd be lucky to retain about 50% on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was the whole thing when I got my Gretsch, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was it when it came into the pawn shop, they wanted over $500 for it, and I ended up getting it for like 350. And and it's a Korean Gretsch, and so it for me. It was about, okay, here's the guitar I want. It's one of the guitars I want. It is one of the better models, and the deal is there, right? It was, and I wait, but I sat on it and I waited and I waited and waited. And if they sell it, they sell it. If they don't, they don't. But if it's still there, I'm gonna ask. And so I had been kind of working them for a couple months. It's the pawn shop right down the street from my house, right? So it's like, so I would go in there all the time. I'd pick it up and I'd play it, and they knew we were interested in. And and I've bought from them before, so they know I'm a buyer.
Yep.
And so we kept negotiating on that. And I told them what I wanted to pay, and one day I just walked in there, and it was getting close to Christmas time. I was like, "Look, is he ready to take 350 for it or not?" And they said yes, and I walked out the door with it. I didn't walk to the counter, Terry. I ran to the counter so they could change their mind. But yeah, it is about finding that deal, and finding those opportunities that are out there. I don't, I don't know about you, but I'm not always got something new, actually set in my mind about what I want. But if I'm looking out there and I see a good deal, I'm willing to take that look at it and see. As long as I don't like to pay too much for anything. So
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you hit on something as well too, and Ben and a few others as well too, is the fact that if you can establish a good connection with somebody, that can
mm-hmm.
also open that door. I mean, Ben with Long and McQuaid now doing some things, he's been able to get some really kick-ass deals on some stuff. Like that nice Gibson Explorer he has. I mean, good old Guitar Man 45, who, again, as I reference, is our Sweetwater rep. You know, you purchase enough um, that you purchase enough or you make yourself known enough, you kind of can get in there, right? And it definitely can open the doors for a lot of possibilities. I mean, same
Hmm.
thing as like when I was dealing with the computer hardware. They had something way back in the day to verify whether you were a good buyer or seller called heatware. And so, like, if you had a good enough rep, it definitely opened that possibility for, you know, that to occur versus, say, you know, if you didn't have a good rep, you would have a hard time to make a deal, whether it be buying or selling. So, I mean, if you can do that, whether it be computer components, musical instrument related stuff, or whatnot, it definitely helps.
Definitely. And getting a shout out here in the chat. Your singing slide video got me through my depression.
Thanks.
So you is there anything that you're looking for out there right now? Any deals you've got on the back burner or on the front burner? Things you may be working?
It's funny that Ben a while ago there, I don't know where I came up with Gibsons, Guilds, and Gretches.
I love it. Yeah.
So I was like, well, yeah, Gibson wise, I mean, I can't, as much as I do not like, a lot of the things that Gibson has done over the years. I do like their products. Most of all, I discovered over the years I'm an SG person. So I would like a Gibson SG, or some form of a Gibson SG, humbucker and or P90 version. Gretsch, well, I mean, usually when most people are obsessed with Gretches, it's usually a White Falcon. And well, those are unfortunately a little out of a range for someone who's low income.
You're out of my range as well, but I still want one.
Well, true enough. I mean, most people that are low to moderate income don't have like the money to invest in a Gretsch or say
Hmm.
something like a Gibson custom shop. And so like in the way though of the 1G that Ben mentioned, that is actually the one brand that I would like to own some instruments of. I would like to own some guilds if I had a way to get guilds. I would love to get one thing that you have, guild acoustic.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I still, it is funny. That is usually the first guitar I'll pick up. I always start with, I always start with the Guild, and then I go to the Gretsch, and then I go to uh, other things. But I just absolutely love that Guild.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to get that. I would like to get, instead of the traditional 335 from Gibson or Epiphone, I would like to get the Guild Starfire. The one Guild Starfire, the entry level one with the dual pickups.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah.
They're nice and they have a history of with old blues players. So yeah, I was gonna say that. Like Ben said, I have custom shop taste but a glary budget.
Definitely, yeah.
And
But
um, as I was gonna say, sometimes that's the reality. Is sometimes with having a glary budget, sometimes you actually can find things that are on a glary level that do come to almost a custom shop taste.
well, it does make you a little bit more savvy about making those deals and trying to figure out how you're going to get what you want. Right? You start, you learn how to trade up, and you learn how to wait, and you learn how to walk away from a deal. All those things that all those things that help you get a better deal later on.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yep.
City Lamp Duo got rid of their SG. Uh-oh.
Well, and that's the other thing too. The SG is a problematic platform um, because it's simple to headstock dive.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I don't understand why Gibson or Epiphone haven't um, made the adjustment to the body thickness. As if they couldn't add like another like eighth or a 16th
Yeah.
of an, or not a 16th, but another eighth to like a quarter inch of material to the body to allow it to not have the headstock dive.
Well, as long as we're talking SGs, Lucas says Terry Red or Ebony SG.
Ah. Um, Maybe at one point in time I was into red, but for some reason it's always the black a la Angus Young SGs and Iomi and a few other SG players that have been black.
All right, so Terry, close your eyes real quick. Okay, you think SG? What color do you think first?
Black.
See, with me, it's always I don't know. In my head, SGs are red, and I know they come in other colors. I get it, but
Black,
to me,
white, um, some
there
type
is a
of.
great olive drab one out there that Ben absolutely loves. He wants it in his collection.
I don't mind. Olive drab is again another green in general is another one of those colors that uh, are kind of to me. I think as I understand guitar is more so over the years. Body shapes slash styles almost seem to fit colors better. And like green, say like on like a shredder or say like a hollow body like an ES335 are a pretty good color. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Pelham blue is another one of those nice colors, but again, hit and miss. Like for example, Epiphone has the SG Special P90. They only offer it in the sparkly burgundy red or the Pelham blue. And in that instance, that's not much selection. But in that instance, if I had to choose between those two colors, actually I would be going for the reddish color in that instance over the Pelham blue.
Oh, but yeah, in the SGs, I know what you're saying. Going back to what you were saying about the SGs before, why don't they just make the body a little bit thicker? But I wonder how much of that is just because how quirky we are as guitar players. Like, if it's not like the original, we won't buy it, right? Those
No.
folks.
I mean, and that's been the problem with Gibson over the years is when Gibson has tried to actually fix their issues, the majority of their, buyers are traditionalists. And so, like, even if you're trying to come up with a solution to fix the issue or the problem, it's, oh, no, 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 it's not traditional. And, that's going to interfere with it. And it's like, in the case of something like where you can add more body material, like especially like when you're talking like about like anywhere between an eighth to a quarter of an inch, if it's
Mm-hmm.
going to make that much difference to prevent headstock diving on an SG, there's
For
no
sure.
reason not to do it. There's not going to be any tonal impact because it's not a hollow body of any way, shape, or form. Ooh, I'm just looking at what Hoba
Hobo
Rody
Road.
said there.
Yeah, isn't that something?
First guitar I ever touched was a blue '64 Les Paul.
You got to be a little jealous of something like that.
Now is but the question is, no, Hoba Rody, is that the SG Les Paul, or is that the actual, single cut Les Paul?
Well, in '64 they weren't called. An SG wasn't called the Les Paul in '64, so I would imagine he's talking about an actual Les Paul. So I'm just trying to catch up with the chat here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scroll up here because I seen somebody say something about a guild.
Oh, that guild Starfire for 300 near him.
Yeah, that's a really good deal.
That is a pretty good deal. Of course, I would, Terry, if it was me, not a penny above 250 for that model.
or the Steve from Boston adage, unless it's under $300, I ain't touching it.
But those Starfires, they are nice guitars. I've been kind of eyeing one out for a while.
Yeah, one of the big things I think was awesome at a NAMM was the fact that Guild has launched all the new various versions of the Polara S100.
Mm-hmm.
We all complain about the weight of a Les Paul, then we complain when we give it weight relief. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's just it.
We're quirky folks, right? They give us what we ask for, and then we complain. And then we complain there's no innovation, right?
Okay, Hobo Rody actually answered.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's shaped like
an Les Paul, but it was, yeah, so... Yeah, it still is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Michael
Krause says that Guild Starfire was 400. It's going now at 300, so it's going down.
Well,
buy it too, Michael.
Yeah, like considering like those, no matter whether you're looking, at Sweetwater or even Toman, like through Toman, I could get a Starfire 1 single cut for 560 Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I mean, that's a pretty good deal. And I think US, they go for like maybe around 459 or something like that. At Sweetwater, I think. So, I mean, if you can pick one up for 300 US and it still has like, it's still in relatively good shape, that's an awesome deal for a single cut hollow body.
Yeah. So is there any out there? What's the guitar you have your eye on out there? Something that you'd eventually like to get? I know you talked about the Guild acoustic, but is there something else you got in your heart's desire?
Well, okay, to continue on with the whole GGG kind of thing. So under the Guild moniker, I'd like a Guild acoustic. Whether I actually get one or not, I highly doubt it. Whether someone actually gives me one, I highly doubt it. Whether someone buys me one, I highly doubt it. Because, there's a lot of people out there on the internet that love to say, oh, see, now he's e-begging people to buy him these instruments. It's like, no. Even though it'd be nice, but no, I don't want to beg people for things. If people would like to help me get something or whatnot, hey, that would be nice and a genuine gesture. But in the way of the Guild things, yeah, Guild acoustic, the Guild Starfire double cut semi hollow, and the Guild Polara. I would love to get a Guild Polara in white or black. Unfortunately, those are now the Kim Thale versions, which are like 1,200. Well, actually, no, they're like about 1,600 Canadian now. So it's like, that's definitely out of my price range. They are out there on the used market, but even on the used market, they're kind of quite up there. They're like about 800 used, a lot of them.
Oh my, I'm getting notifications. Stop it. All right, so think we put an end to that. Hey, folks, we do have Music Therapy Last that is coming up next, so be ready to tune in there. So Terry, you've done the whole deal thing, but you've done a lot of work on guitars and in refinishing your guitars. And I'm thinking you're probably a guy like me. You when you're in a hobby, you like to have your hands in all parts of it, right? You want to know are you one of those folks that you want to know how everything works, and in order to do that, you need to have your hands on it many different ways, or is it just I wanted that color on this guitar, and so I did it?
I honestly think it was when I started dabbling in modifying, upgrading, in some cases, I guess, mild level repair. It was more so the understanding of things more so than anything else, out of curiosity. Same thing with like the guitar finishes. Way back in the day when I killed the 95 made in Mexico Stratocaster that I had, which I definitely shouldn't have did what I did to it. But the big craze going on YouTube at the time was Birchwood Casey True Oil finishes.
All right, thank you, Rob. I'll get that to him a little bit later. Appreciate that.
Okay. So yeah, see, there's a pretty good deal there. What Michael Chris says.
Oh, this one?
2013 Guild S100 for 525. That's
I
pretty.
was
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was watching a Guild American made Guild acoustic this week, and I could have bought it, but it was like it was above what I wanted to pay. I was like, so I let it go. It broke my heart, but I let it go.
Yeah, that's the inherent problem. So yeah, getting back to like what you had said, so that was like pretty much the big thing for me was like I love wood grain transparent finishes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that really was a big reason why I got into trying to refinish stuff was because I wanted to have stuff that was grainy and really really popped. And with some of those photos of like the 95 Strat that I refinished, like as much as I killed a lot of the body thickness,
Mm-hmm.
when I did put like about 20-25 coats of true oil on it, it had a lot of depth to it and it looked really slick, especially since I had did a black stain underneath it. But and eventually, I would say in time I learned, as unfortunately, like in a lot of cases, kind of like I'll admit, this definitely was one that I was like, oh, there's gonna be an awesome maple cap underneath it. And I started taking it off and taking it off, and next thing you know, it was like, no, there's no nice maple cap underneath it.
Oh man.
So I took it down a little too much, which again, not a good thing. But on the positive, one of the cool things I was able to do with this top is give it a really nice little. You can't see it too well because it's white, but you can kind of see the arch. I gave it more of a bowl and arch to it.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
So this again might be getting to be another project again of more things done to it. So at the same time, the benefit of doing so is it's not Gibson, it's Tanglewood. So
Sadie Lamp Duo, I have not done enough at Hitchcock Psycho guitar yet.
oh god. So
That's an idea, though.
you might want to put yourself back in the shot. Charles.
Nah. I'll Terry all the time, man.
Oh God, that's all I need my super fans to know.
Well, I mean, you've got quite a channel, and one of the things I enjoy about your channel is you don't mind playing. You don't mind putting up a video of yourself playing something, even if it's rough, right? Because you're showing that. I guess you're showing that process of acquiring that particular song or skill or whatever it may be. And it's like,
Yeah,
I am always a big fan of someone that's willing to put themselves out there like that because it's not my own inclination to do so.
yeah, and I've said that a lot over the years. I said, if you expect to have any type of level of success, um, thanks, Sean Hockey. If you expect to have any level of success on YouTube or be prominent on YouTube, um, Ben has said it in the past as well too. You have to put yourself out there, whether it be in the chats, whether it be a video on your channel. If you don't make some type of exposure of yourself, you're not going to be anything of meaning or value to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That again plays into the whole thing with me having super fans is the fact that, I've been a moderator for many years on the platform.
Yeah, moderator to the stars.
I was moderator to a fair amount of YouTube stars, and then you know they decided otherwise for whatever reason, which I don't know for the most part, nor can I get into because of that fact. But at the end of the day, as much as there has been individuals who have tried to attack me to say that I was trying to control things, at the end of the day, my only goal and desire as being a moderator has been to help people
Mm-hmm.
and to help like the host of the channel. So like that's always kind of been my idealisms to being a moderator. Like you've seen that where I've put, links to the person, someone who's a guest channel, and thank you again for putting the link out there for me.
Oh,
And
it is not easy to moderate alongside Terry3G's, folks. I will tell you because just as you are clicking, you're getting ready to click send. Terry has already posted it.
sometimes I will say sometimes copy and paste is your friend.
Yes.
But that's the inherent problem that I've ran into. If we can kind of go down this path with the remainder of this show, is that there, as I've discovered over the years, there is a lot of again toxic society and individuals from that part of society that have rolled themselves into YouTube and have taken it upon themselves to basically crap on basically anyone that wants to do good, or anyone that anyone that comes onto the platform and causes an issue. Well, anyone that opposes them from doing so, well, instantly they're made an enemy.
I want to welcome in Bent Tom. Bent Tom
Hey,
hope you are
Tom.
feeling well, and he is right. Ignore the haters. Ignore the haters.
For a while, I did let it bother me, and then I learned that the more you don't bother to deal with those people, the
Mm-hmm.
more better of a life you have on this platform. Not to mention, as the saying goes, if you feed the trolls, that's what they're looking
Yeah,
for.
they're looking for that attention, that rise, and when they don't get it, they go away.
You know,
For
mind you,
sure.
though, you lose out on the clicks and the views. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you have good morals and everything else, that's what you want. You want honest people. You want honest views, not like views because somebody hates you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. And the really nice thing about this corner of the guitar community that we all live in is that it is such a positive one. And
Yeah,
so we want to keep it that way as much as possible. And so we all appreciate a great moderator. There's no
yeah.
two doubt about that. And you've done an excellent job with that for sure.
No, thank you, everyone. Like I said, I just try to do my best. I mean, somebody actually had turned around and used when I said about moderators are usually paid because, like I said, there are companies out there that do run websites or YouTube channels and actually do pay people to do the moderating. And I said, there's a lot of us out there on YouTube that moderate, you know, because we want to do something nice. We do it voluntarily. And, unfortunately, like you said, and like I'm saying, there's a lot of people that crap on those people
Mhm.
and, make something that should be an easy job, a much harder one.
Yeah, for sure. But I think we are making progress in this little quarter of that community, and I'm seeing, I tend to see less of it these days than we had a couple of years ago, which is nice.
Yeah, and that's someone, I've publicly stated, though I can't really verify it for people, but I have been online since 95.
Hmm.
I did, unfortunately, I was one of the undocumented cases of internet chat addiction way back in the late 90s before it became known. That was hell, but, like I said, since being on the internet from 95, which is relatively in the early days of the internet, to now, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I've seen over the last three decades, not just only on this platform but others where there's a lot of toxicity and negativity going on in the way of society, going that way. So I mean, to me, it's definitely been important to have
Hmm.
groups like Ben around and people like yourself that are making safer havens and also won't have a tolerance for people that are toxic or who want to create drama.
Yeah, for sure. We want this to be the place where we can certainly come here and relax and have a good time, and that's what it's all about. Well, we've got a few minutes left here. Any ideas of what we can expect from the channel coming up? Things you've got in the works?
uh well, as usual, I try to put content up on the channel.
Hmm.
Doesn't always work. Because again, I get in moods of, I get spurts when I put up stuff or an influence to do something like that. And so, like, the only thing I will say is, again, anyone that does have my channel, if I don't put up content, please go back into my back history of videos
For sure.
because I've got like, oh, 2,000 plus videos that I've put up since 2009. And I mean, I've got everything from like my beginning guitar playing. So, I mean, you can use that as a reference of, how not to play or how to even see my progress. There has been some people that have actually went through and looked at my back videos. Yeah, somebody commented a while back and said, "You don't know how to play." And I said to the person, I said, "You're looking at a video from 6+ years ago. Of course, I don't know how to play. That's something that takes time." I said, "Go back through and look through my stuff and tell me." And you know what? This user actually did go through my back videos.
Hmm.
And he came back and he said, "You know what? You're right. You do play a lot better than what you did when I commented on your video."
Nice. I think that is the perfect way to end that. I think that is the perfect way to end this. Terry, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a joy. We'll talk more as we come out. Music Therapy Laz is coming up next. He's got a show getting ready to start here in a minute, so go on over and join him. Make sure you join Ryan and the OU812 crew for their Sunday afternoon jam. And Ben Coombs has on JP Page too. Get all your AMP questions answered tonight, folks.
Yes.
Everyone, have a good evening. Have a good evening. Have a great Sunday.
Charles is cut off.
Yeah, we're done here. I got to get off before I start talking complete gibberish. But enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and enjoy your shows coming up. And I will see you next. There might be a video coming out this week, but I will see you next on Friday with Guitar Safari. So, all that being said, thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.